We're going to move right along because we have lots to do, so continue to enjoy your lovely lunch, repast, and all here. Right now it gives me great pleasure, and I just get overwhelmed every year that I have, or even every occasion that I have a chance to introduce this woman. There are workers amongst us all, and when you find a worker, sometimes we have a tendency to put too much on their shoulders. But then again, they put a lot on their shoulders themselves. This woman, regardless whether we put it on her shoulders or she puts it on herself, this woman can definitely endure. She is one of Washington's pillars when it comes to getting the job done, but above all, looking out for those who have spent the matured years. I like to say the matured years rather than the older years. So without further ado, because I'll just get hung up in words here introducing this lady, she deserves every praise we can give her for the hard work that she's done. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Veronica Pace, Executive Director, D.C. Office of Aging.
Thank you, Julie. Now, with an introduction like that, you know we must have something in common, right? No, we're not married, we're not related, but we do happen to both be native Washingtonians. It is my pleasure, as always, to certainly welcome you and to share with you this wonderful, wonderful occasion, because it gives all of us an opportunity to really honor those that deserve to be honored. Certainly for their wisdom, for their hard work, and they have many, many years of hard work among them. But most of all, just for longevity, just for longevity. And as Alethea Campbell, Mrs. Campbell said earlier, if they were to write a book, and Mrs. Campbell, I certainly want to read one that they did collectively. Maybe we in the Office on Aging would do that, or the mayor would do that, because the mayor is very, very much behind and pushes oral history and the importance of it. There would be a lot of good advice and good recipes in there. Today, I want to, again, it's always a privilege for me, and it's a privilege that I'm going to share with none other than the mayor's mother. And that's, I call her Miss Virginia, because I call her the lady that is gentle, that is a pillar, a queen in her own right, but walks softly and carries a big stick. You know, like Steel Magnolia. And we just all love her in this city because she is the first mother of the city. So, Miss Virginia, I'm going to just ask you, you want to do it from where you are? You want to just join me? Because when I introduce the mayor, I always like to have the person that knows the most about our mayor. And no one knows more than his mother. Is that right? You've all come to know Anthony A. Williams, and I hope that you've all come to love him, as those of us who work with him and for him have done. Because talking about rising to the occasion and growing in the position of mayor, not to mention that he didn't bring a lot to the table, because he did. I mean, he is a scholar. He certainly knows finances and knows numbers, and got the city's books and dollars and stuff in order so that we could continue to go forward and continue to celebrate you, our centenarians. But more importantly, he is an earnest man. He is a sincere man. And I don't say this lightly. You know, there are politicians. There are politicians who are born, dyed-in-the-wool politicians. That is their profession. That is what they do. But then there are those who, for whatever reason, were drafted, launched, catapulted, happened to be at the right time, at the right place, and is the right person, by God's grace, to be the leader. The President of the United States, certainly President Bush, is our commander-in-chief. But in this city, we also have a commander-in-chief, and it is Anthony A. Williams. Yes, it is. And if you have paid attention and just watched how he has seized the moment and moved to try to unify this city, to try to keep this city going economically, but also spiritually, because somebody has to do it. And I know there must be many, many evenings that he is tired, he is worn out. He has to be. He just works nonstop all the time. But it is important for us to have a leader. And I said to him once that if ever I'm on the schoolyard with the schoolyard bully, I don't want but one person backing me up at my side. And that's Anthony A. Williams, because he is tough. He is sincere. He is earnest. He is a man of few words. He does what he says he's going to do. And when he strategically agreed to the goal for his strategic plan and to launch what the city is going to be about, not only this year, but in fiscal year 2003 and 4, when he agreed to the goal that seniors are valued and that seniors have a right to live in dignity and in a place of their choosing. Now, you know I fell in love with him all over again. But I attribute that not only to where he has been in his life at this point in time, but I also attribute that to his mother. And Miss Virginia, would you like to say something about your son, our mayor?
Yes. Each and every one of you who are 100 years old has had 30 years of blessing or more. What I want you to do for me and my son is pray for him and this city. That is what I want you to do, because I know he's going to do all he can. And thank you so much.
And thank you, Mama. Maybe we'll get, before we all leave out of here, because Mama can also sing. See, I told you she's a queen and she's a star.
We had Mrs. Washington, D.C. singing.
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
We've already heard.
Oh, she's our queen.
That's right.
But she doesn't mind sharing the house, do you? She already told me that. I got permission.
Oh, my goodness.
But at any rate, we bring you no other than Virginia Williams' son, of whom she is very proud, and my commander-in-chief, Anthony A. Williams, the mayor of the District of Columbia.
What is the name of the band? What?
Washington Saturday College.
Okay, Washington Saturday College Ensemble. I think we ought to give them a big hand. I think they're doing a good job. Playing all the great hits and native Washingtonian. All right, Georgetown. All right, Deanwood. Now, is A-Train, is that in A? It's in A, so A-Train's actually in the key of A. There you go. I am pleased to be here, and before I get started, I want to, as mayor of our city, I have to acknowledge the first mother of our city, Virginia Hayes Williams. She's my mom, but she works very, very hard to try to bring this city together, to try to represent the spirit of this city. Please join me in giving my mother a big hand. She works very hard for our city. I want to acknowledge, he works very, very hard as well for our city. And so wherever there's a major event, if we need someone to lend his prestige and his presence to help a noble cause, it's always Jerry Phillips from Clear Channel. And let's give Jerry a big hand for being our MC. Certainly I want to acknowledge, as Veronica was saying, I'm a big, big fan of history. Big fan of oral history, which is why I love our seniors so much, because they are just walking pillars and reservoirs of our history and lessons to be learned. They really are monuments, are living monuments to what we are as a people. And no one knows that more than Barbara Frankel, who's the executive director of the Historical Society of Washington. Let's welcome Barbara. And then there's Alethea Campbell. Now, you know who she is. She's a chairperson of a very important commission. Let me put it this way. There are commissions, and then there are commissions, and then there are commissions. Not all commissions were created equal, to be honest with you. I wouldn't say this publicly. I guess I am public, aren't I? I'll put it this way. There's some commissions that are vitally important to the life of this city, that are really central to what we're trying to do. And the Commission on Aging is one of them, and I think we owe a big round of applause for Alethea Campbell, our chairperson of the Commission on Aging. and I'm getting to it. Now, finally, I want to, we've all known of her work. She's got to be the best director of aging in the country, isn't she? Let's give Veronica a big welcome and recognition. There are directors and directors and directors. She's a director's director. She knows how to work. Let me tell you, the Office on Aging, don't you, Veronica? She sure does.
They taught me well.
That's right. That's right. And then finally, we have royalty in our presence. I'm not speaking of myself. I'm speaking of, no, I'm just kidding. I'm speaking of course, our senior DCs. And we have with us Her Majesty Myrtle Smith Gardner Church, who is Miss Senior DC in 2001. Let's welcome her. And we have Miss Washington, other senior DCs as well. I want to recognize the entire court for gracing us with their presence here today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you know better than anyone that this nation and this city faces some challenges ahead. You know more than anyone. You know why I know that? Well, I know that myself, and I also know that from talking to many of you over the last couple of weeks. I know that because you all showed up in huge proportion to the rest of our city at our Citizen Summit last Saturday. Give yourselves a big hand. Seniors were there, and I was very pleased that our seniors were there at our Citizen Summit. I was there because they're citizens, and we're always happy when citizens take part in our democratic process in our city, so clearly I was happy there. I was also happy because our seniors know more than anyone else what it's like to face a challenge, don't they? This article in the Washington Senior Beacon really speaks volumes about what I'm talking about, and it says, Pearl Harbor generation shares its thoughts. Well, let me tell you something. If there were a time when we need to listen to our seniors and our parents, now is the time. I'm going to tell you, if there is a time when we're in this storm, remember Matthew, a storm on the Sea of Galilee? When you're in that storm, our Lord tells us, when you're in that storm, even if you don't see me, I am with you. When you pray for me, I will listen to you. Keep on your job, keep on your mission, even in the worst of this storm, and I will get you on your way. That's what he tells us. And if there's any group in our city that has seen uncertainty over the years, we know there's one group that's seen it. That's our seniors. If there's one group that has faced the challenge of facing despair and loss of belief in ourselves and what we can do, we know there's one group that has met that challenge time and time again, and they are our seniors. If there's one group that knows what it's like for love to triumph over hate and for good to triumph over evil, there's a group that has seen, certainly our centenarians over 100 years' time, they have actually seen terrorism in a way that I, 50 years old, can't even understand. Homes being burned, people being terrorized, they have seen hatred, they have seen terror, and they stand for love, and they stand for community, they stand for building as opposed to destroying. That is why it is so important that everyone in our community listen to the lessons that have already been learned and that have already been lived by our seniors, now more than ever. And I want to thank you as mayor of this city for everything you've done in your lives that really are a monument to excellence and a testament to what we can do as a people. And with that, I want to get down into the tables to help all of you present the Centenarian Awards, but as I do at each and every one of these things, I have to give you the Centenarian Report. Okay, that's our yearly report. Okay, just into our newsroom. Of the 82 centenarians registered with the Office on Aging, only 9 are men. So men, let's pick it up. You got a lot of work to do, okay? We're falling behind on the scorecard. Okay. January and September are the most popular months for birthdays, 13. So if you're like me and you have a birthday in July, you know what you got to do. You got to keep on living. The oldest living centenarian in Washington, D.C., at least who's registered with us, is Marion Lucille Bess, 106 years, 2 months, and 27 days. Isn't that fabulous? Now, some of our wards, Ward 7 and 8, Ward 5 and 6, some of our wards, we've got to pick up the pace too. Ward 3 right now has the highest number of centenarians, 22. The average age of a DC centenarian is 101 years, 9 months. Now, listen to this statistic. Based on past trends, it is projected that 40 new residents will celebrate 100 years old in the new millennium. Better changes in health, improved health care, which is really a testament to our centenarians that, where they are with the health care we had 75 years ago, with life expectancies the way they were 75 years ago, they're living a good life. And I'm looking at Mr. Byers here. He looks better than I do, and he's doing something right. Am I right? Absolutely. Matter of fact, looks much better. Mary and Margaret are the most common female first names. We have 3. Almost half of the centenarians live alone or with relatives. So that tells you the power of family, doesn't it? Still living in the home with family. 38 centenarians. So thank our families who are here. And before I get to words of wisdom, here's a statistic I always love, and Mom, you'd appreciate this. Still, the reigning champ for the most common last name, I am biased, is Williams. Hey! And over the next 50 years, I want to add another name to that. Okay, there you go. Now, words of wisdom from our centenarians. Our centenarians have seen wars, they've seen depressions. In some cases, our centenarians have raised not just one family, but 2 families. In some cases, they've overseen the raising of 3 or 4 families. That's the power of our centenarians. Now, what are their words of wisdom? Flying in an airplane is a change they observe or participated that they most remember. Learning to drive a horse and buggy, and then later an automobile. Okay, certainly here in our district where we know we don't have full representation, every little bit counts, right? So voting for president and local elected officials, a big, big memorable event for our centenarians. Social Security, unemployment insurance, and Medicare. People my age and our sons and daughters take it for granted. This is something our centenarians fought for. They had to fight for Social Security. Electricity and plumbing in homes, we take it for granted. Our centenarians remember it. The building of the Jefferson Memorial, the Pentagon, and the National Airport. Being able to purchase a home, this is something we take for granted again, but something they fought for. Many of them were out there on the in front of the Lincoln Memorial in 1963, being able to purchase a home in a community of their choosing, right? They remember both world wars, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, some folks the Spanish-American War. That's how far back our centenarians go. Civil rights marches and demonstrations. And then finally, as they put it, going from horse and buggy to streetcars to buses and subways. That represents, isn't that great? That to me represents a sweep in the power and the scope of the lives of our centenarians. Let them continue to be monuments, living monuments of everything that is best in this city, for their sons, for their daughters, for our aunts and their uncles. We are proud of you. God bless all of you. God bless our beloved city, and God bless our country. Thank you all very much for being here. You're great people.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Isn't he great, huh? Come on, let's hear it, folks. One thing I'd say about Anthony Williams is the fact that he always has that personal touch that relates to everybody's life, like his name, Williams. Why not Phillips, I mean, why Williams, I can't get that. I'm going to do a little investigation on that. But then you wouldn't want a Mayor Phillips anyway. It's better to have a Mayor Williams, right? Yeah, there you go. Now comes the fun part of our ceremony. I wait for this all year long. I don't care if it's Christmas, Easter, or Hanukkah, or what. I wait for this moment, the moment we make the presentations to our honorees. The Mayor and Mrs. Williams, his mother, along with Veronica Pace, and everybody else will go down on the floor and talk to the honorees. Denise Bailey, 100 years old. dearly. 103 years old. Rachel Hodge, we gotta love you at 102 years old. Mrs. Curtis has 3 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild. Almar Curtis, I tell you, what can we say? Must be my Curtis brothers had that big chair out there for all those years. 102 years old. Anna Yusuma, married to Anna Harris, 101 years old. She doesn't even need Tylenol, huh? Not at all. Louise Mary Wilkinson, we love you too, 101. Henrietta Davis. Henrietta Davis, January 1900 in North Carolina, to the late Elliot and Mary Madison. Louise Delabar, 101 years old, and there she sits. Goodbyers, 101, October 27th, 1900.
Thank you so much. And it's just it's really wonderful to be here. I have to say that this is an event, like Jerry, that I look forward to every year. And I have to say it's been the high point of my week. So thank you for letting me come and having this wonderful event. I think that it is interesting that when we have problems in our country and times of trouble as we are in now, that cultures all over the world turn to their elders for wisdom. And so I think it's very appropriate for us to be here today and to be celebrating the wisdom that the people in this room hold. And I think we've heard a little bit about their lives. I think that the Historical Society has been doing this now for several years, and I'm really delighted to have an opportunity to hear these stories and to really meet many of you. It's wonderful to see familiar faces and new faces at this event. The Historical Society has been working for many years now on a project to create a city museum, and one of the reasons that we like being a sponsor of this event is that we think it's important to have the wisdom of the elders be preserved and made available to the next generation, because all that wisdom shouldn't go to waste. And so one of the things that we're working on is the City Museum, which we hope to open in 2003, which will be a place for all those oral histories and for the kinds of stories that are going on. And today I want to invite you to an open house that's going to be at the Carnegie Library, which is the location for the new City Museum, this Saturday from 1 to 4, and we're going to take oral histories. We're going to have people reminisce and tell their stories about studying in that library and their stories and their ideas about the city. So I invite all of you and your families to come and join us. That's tomorrow from 1 to 4. And I'm looking forward very much to being here next year and seeing all of you again. And I have to say, when I hear the band playing, that music is something that we're going to have to include in the City Museum. And I'd like to hire these guys as curators. It's wonderful to be here and really wonderful to share this day with you. Thank you.
Jerry, if I might just have another minute, because it's always important, you know, the people who work so hard all year to put this together for you don't often get thanked, and we always want to do that. And I want to thank my staff at the Office on Aging, particularly Courtney Williams and the entire committee, Darlene, Rowena, Betty, and the club that I love the most, and I'm waiting for them to make me an honorary member, because I don't think I could win as queen, and that's the Cameo Club.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
We could not, and the Office on Aging could not function without our commissioners, and you met Mrs. Campbell earlier, and Ms. Blakely is here, former commissioner, and but the Cameo Club, whenever we ask them to support us, they do. And finally, certainly our sponsors. You know, we can't do this without money and donations and contributions. Our own photographer that's with us every year, Chuck, comes from United Planning Organization. And you're going to hear from Monica. You've heard from Barbara. But this is a public-private partnership that we do, and it's so important, isn't it, to say thank you to everybody that makes it possible. And that's all I wanted to say, Jerry. Right. And Miss Virginia, Mother Williams, the mother of our mayor, is going to join Anna Harris. Anna Harris, where are you? And they're going to cut the cake. And we all like cake, don't we? And we've been waiting a long time for the cake. So if we could have some light music while they move where we can do the cake cutting, and assisted by certainly Alethea Campbell, chairperson of the commission. And I think our Cameo Club members can just be there in case they're needed as well, because they have been our hostesses with the mostest.
All right. As Henrietta Davis from NC. Henrietta, she likes Atlantic City. What can I say? Louise Delabon, what can I say? The whole world smiles with you. Hey! To our centenarians, ladies and gentlemen. But certainly, for us in broadcasting, in a world that's very fast, where we formulate thought and we try to at least get us through the day from 9 in the morning to 5 in the evening, having to do with the formulation of thought with our families and all. As communicators, it is so nice to share these moments with you when we feel that we need each and everyone's love in this country, in this city. And I think this room is full of that today, full of love and spiritual feeling. Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure. God bless you. God bless America. For when you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you.